subscribe, and like LA TV, yo.
Okay, now that I'm free, what do I do? I got out of the clutches of my parents, the ones who were supposed to do their best to uplift and cultivate me. I am free from them, free from their confusion of thought, confusion from beliefs, personal beliefs based on life's experiences, taught or more often than not taught by their parents, free from the big one, the oppression of religion, overbearing religion. Nonetheless, my mom was heavy into church. I didn't mind that because it seemed as though being around her church sisters kept her happy and busy. And even then, they were always, the church people, were always doing something positive, be it from cooking for others, cooking for the saints. They were cleaning, they were singing, they were praying, they were talking, they were just being amongst one another. And every single time, even if they were having a bad time or if someone was in the kitchen crying in the church, it was just all the ladies around gathered. And despite it all, there was a joyous energy coming from downstairs in the church kitchen all the time. Even if there were little arguments or bickerments that happened amongst them because one of the sisters was telling the other sisters of the church he should or shouldn't be doing this, or personal advice, it never came across as some Jerry Springer-ish. Even though, looking back, based on some of the conversations, they were doing some Jerry Springer-ish. It was still all conducted in the guise of sisterhood. But it was a pure sisterhood, not just saying sisterhood because that's what you say or what you do. Just what you say or what you do, like when people just casually throw around I love you. And that's even changed. So having said all that, I was free from my parents' upbringing, which shaped them and molded them into parents to be, unfortunately, the authoritative figure over my life and disciplinarian over my life. They poured their information and core values, thoughts, and assumptions based on life's difficulties onto me, and none of the stuff they told me made sense almost 1,000% of the time. Now that I escaped them, meaning moved out of the house, literally, like for real, I moved out of the house, I think, in my early 20s, and that was a fight too. All my life I had to fight. I had to fight to feel included. I had to fight to feel like I was included into the family, to feel like I was a part of the family, to feel like I belonged in the family, feel like they even wanted me, to fight and to have to get out of the family because they didn't want me to leave. So now that I was free from them, I went out of the frying pan into the fire. Or should I say, I left the frying pan and went to hell. But you know, that's the merry-go-round of life, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, space aliens and beyond them. What is it, aliens, and I wrote about them. What are those things called? Sorry. They start with an A, astrologers or something. I don't know. They're beyond aliens too. But hello, what's up, all y'all? Everything and everyone in this universe and beyond. Yo, I tell you, the cycle is real. If you don't get the things you need from the ground up, you're going to repeat them whether you want to or not. And I repeated it, and I was in an 8-year storm that I had to get out of. It was so hard. So I left my family, who I lived with for let's just say 23 years. About 23 years of my life, I lived with my family, my alleged biological family. Then I finally got the strength, the courage, and wherewithal to find an apartment and move out on my own. And then it wasn't long before that, I got into more trouble. I went to hell by getting into a bad relationship, because unfortunately, daughters, based on my example, based on the examples of my life, seems to be true via my personal experience. Daughters gravitate to their fathers, even if they don't like their fathers. So what made it worse was the person I gravitated to was extremely more worse than my dad. Not better, at least. Extremely worse. So I was in that for 8 years. But what made it so bad was it was hard to get out, because I just got out of one situation, got into another, but here I am counting my blessings based on religion, to count your blessings and not be showing non-gratitude. So I'm in an unhealthy relationship, counting my blessings, saying, well, at least I'm not living at home with my parents. At least I have a car and I can go wherever I want. But I couldn't. At least I could watch TV, but I couldn't. Just crazy stuff. So what I'm saying is, congratulations, I'm Black. And based on a history of malnourishment, as far as getting the proper structure on how life is supposed to be led, what we're supposed to tolerate, what we're not supposed to accept, and life in general, I fell into the siphon and or cycle of repeating the same circle everyone else around me in my alleged family did. The thing is, despite the fact that I fell right into the same snare, the same thing I didn't want, the same thing I didn't want to be like everybody else surrounding me was doing, I didn't want to accept that. I chose to fight, and I was so tired of fighting already. I've been fighting for 23 years, and then I get into a horrible relationship after getting free, and to go into hell, and I had to fight again. I was tired, but I still had the strength to fight. I didn't want to, but I had to. For the sake of the future, for the sake of my future. This was before my son was born, so even in my mind, for the sake of my future children, I had to fight, because I owed them that. I refused to be fickle in the mind like my parents. I passed the same old mess, not knowing stuff, and all that negative stuff and down to my people, to, you know, to my children and to my future husband. You know, I was thinking futuristically. And that's how it should be. Congratulations, I'm Black. I realized I was a product of my environment. Even though we lived in the quote-unquote suburbs, it was just an outside looking in type of situation where everything on the outside looked like roses, but on the inside it was not. I was a product of my ecosystem environment in my house, which was confusion, chaos, misfortune, terrible mismanagement, overbearing, judgmental, criticizing, hypocritical, contradictory, cold, isolated, delusional, psychotic. I was a product of my environment, of a ball of confusion, because when I list all those things and put it in one hula hoop, you stir it all up, it's just all confusion, no matter how you shake and bake it and pick it apart. Hello, I'm Black. Congratulations, I'm Black, a product of my environment. Although I lived in the suburbs, I was not the suburbs. In our house, it was not the suburbs. It was still the ghetto. And honestly, my argument was, why didn't we just stay in the ghetto? Because I felt better off there. When I woke up to a reality in the hood, I knew where I was. I knew where everything was at. But let's not get it twisted. I knew who I was. I knew where I was at. I knew I was poor. But I knew I could be anything I wanted to. Not saying I wanted to stay in the hood to have a low quality of life. What I'm saying is, we didn't live beyond our means. I was comfortable because everything just seemed better. Even though we're like super duper poor, I woke up and it wasn't a fabrication. I woke up and I knew what I was being dealt with. So all that stuff that I saw visually, I didn't have to think beyond. All I had when I woke up in the hood was the right now. Me. Living my day, enjoying the moments, taking everything for what it was. I didn't have friends, but it didn't feel too bad. Because at that time, I made my peace with a lot of things. Everything was just simpler. And it's not because I was a kid. Everything was just simpler because we weren't living beyond our means. At that time, we weren't. We is when I say me, my mom, and my sister. We weren't too overwhelmed with all that religious stuff. I knew we were like unbelievably poor, but we still had more, I guess, healthier memories opposed to moving to the suburbs where things really intensified and didn't make any sense at all. We were supposed to move to the suburbs to have a better life, but it was completely worse. It was horrible. And I wish we just stayed where we were. Congratulations, I'm Black. product of my environment unbeknownst to myself, until I realized when I moved from the clutches of my alleged parents and repeated the cycle by dating someone who was 10 times, 60 times worse than my dad. I realized I was mirroring the same footsteps as every single person in my family. I was so disappointed in myself because I didn't want to be like them. I was a good person with a good heart and good intentions. I knew right from wrong, but here I was still making stupid mistakes like my family. And I couldn't understand. And that's what made me realize generational curses are real. But I refused to just accept it because everybody in my mom and them was seeing me to be comfortable living in the funky lifestyle of making mistakes over and over and over and over and over again. I too made mistakes, but I refused to accept them. I chose to change them. No matter what. No matter what. No matter what. No matter what. And I'm glad I did. Congratulations, I'm black, a product of my environment. My environment meaning inside what went on in my house. Not environment like suburbs, but deeper. Congratulations, I'm black, product of my environment. My environment being shaped mentally around the mentalities of poor-minded, poor thought, poor, unthoughtful, mixed up black people. Mental environment. Product of my mental environment amongst the suburbs. Amongst the foliage of the product of being amongst from the outside looking in. If that makes any sense. Congratulations, I'm black. The product of a mental environment. A mental environment that was like a sewer.